So thank you for joining us, Daliso.
Yes, good
Let
to
me
be here.
just tell everyone about you a few things. So you are a stand-up comedian and have been for over 20 years, and you live in Manchester. Originally, you are from Malawi, a country in the southern part of Africa, and
Yes,
you
that
are
is right.
raised in various African countries as a child. And from what I know, you moved to Canada as a university student, and that's where you started stand-up comedy?
That is indeed where I started stand-up comedy. I mean, I'd always been funny, but I'd never done it as comedy. I'd written funny poems and funny stories, but that was when I was like, there's actually a place for me. That was a place I was meant to be.
Great. And then what did you do?
Then, I mean, it was my hobby at first, and then it just became all consuming. It was all I wanted to do. And I just started performing more and more and more. And by the time I should have been graduating and becoming a programmer, I was instead graduating to comedy clubs. And then I tried it a bit in South Africa, and then eventually the UK. Oh,
The
I
UK in
became blurred
Manchester.
again. I don't understand.
You're blurred, yeah. That's one
My
of my jokes for children, actually.
my
I said,
autofocus.
help, I'm blurry.
I don't know how to make my camera focus. Ah, there
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
focused now. So I use this and I put
Oh.
it in front of the camera. Help, I'm blurry. And then I leave and come back. So we're getting used to learning how to do entertainment and comedy on
Yes. And
video now
actually,
live.
because you did it, it now refocused. So you need to refocus it.
Yes, now now I'll do your trick too.
You see, this
See,
would be
it happens.
children's entertainment in itself. Yeah.
It's great. Well, live has such things anyway.
Yes. 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 So
So
yeah, I just started performing more and more and went from amateur to professional. All that means is professional means you're living off it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're better. It's more of a financial distinction because there are amateurs who are better than professionals, but it's really when it's all you're doing to pay your bills, and that happened when I moved to the UK.
excellent. So I wanted to ask you actually, because everyone wants to know about that big moment in 2017 for you.
Yes, so that was when I did Britain's Got Talent, and I got the golden buzzer, and it changed everything. I mean, it made it from me being a person who was in comedy clubs, scraping my way through to doing tours and doing radio and doing television. It really was a turning point for me, which took me to the next level, and gave me an audience, which is wonderful to have.
I'm gonna share something now.
Yes.
Your website,
Oh yes, thank you.
africancomedian.com.
Yes, very much so. Particularly this year, which has been bizarre. It's been good to be one of the comedians who is able to stream and draw an audience, and sort of it's meant that I have still had some gigs while most comedians don't. So I definitely know that I've been breathing rarefied air.
But one thing that you dared to do, and you did it extensively, was that throughout the whole year in 2020, you did the Corona cast, which was
Yes,
the
yes.
videos from your own apartment. But you did so many, and they were so consistent. I mean, over 200.
I did
That
over
was a
200,
lot.
and it was actually a hard decision to stop doing it. But it was when I realized that, I've done 200 and something. It's kept me sane, but now I need to do stuff which is going to get me paid.
Of course,
And
I
while I was
understand that.
making it, you can't spend 4 hours making a Corona cast and then spend more hours writing your book or more hours writing your next show. You will at some point burn out. So very sadly, I had to say goodbye to it. But it did keep my mental health, particularly the first 3 months when I was living alone.
Yes, yes. And you're almost through a novel now, right?
I finished. I
You
finished.
finished it.
I
Oh,
finished it.
great.
So now it's rewriting, but the actual book is done. It's exists in some form. So
Excellent. So the real reason we wanted to do this video is to actually compare children's entertainment and stand-up comedy. So
Yes.
I'll tell you a few things about me too. So I've been also performing for over 20 years. And right now I have three companies. I'll tell you how I started off. I was about 20 and I worked at summer camps because my background was music. So that really helped. Also, some experience that I had with Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts. So then I decided while I was still studying other things like graphic designs and music, why not find something to do for the rest of the months of the year? So that's how I discovered children's parties. And I never stopped.
Right. Yes. Yes. And what
So
age group, when you say children's party, what age group
it's
is it that you're doing?
usually from 3 years old up to 12.
Okay.
Yeah, many differences. We'll talk about that. So a few things about my three companies. The first one I started was when I decided that that would be my job when I was 28, back in 2002, was Triki Fun, because my stage name is Triki Miki. I
Okay.
used to do a lot of magic tricks, so my real name is Miki in Greek. So Triki Miki was easy. So that's why I decided to have that. And then Triki Fun just came up. So Triki Fun is a company that deals with children's parties. We have entertainers, we have other performers, and we take care of everything having to do with children and events.
Right.
I can't really find this picture that I wanted to show. There we go. Okay, so a few pictures here. So this is what I have behind me right now, the
Okay.
backdrop.
Right.
So I have a team. We also have seminars. We teach
Nice.
ourselves. We have dancers. We have stilt walkers. We have jugglers, magicians, and all of
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so that leads us to our second company, which I started. Those are venues. They are Party Place. Party Place is a children's disco. It's in Athens, Greece. The first one we started in 2011, and the second one in 2020 with my
Okay.
brother. So that one hasn't really picked up yet.
Bad timing.
But that time. But we're ready. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
So let's see if I can show one or two pictures of that too, so that people will know. It's great. It has a lit dance floor. We have singing. We have karaoke. We always have a DJ and an entertainer as well.
Nice. Very nice. We see your screen. Everybody sees your screen.
The whole screen.
Yes.
We're still learning.
Yes. I
hope
think this
everyone-
year has been a year where a lot of people are learning lots of new technologies. My living room, I'm actually at my office, but my living room is currently a studio now with a green screen and camera and all sorts.
Anyway, I'll move on to
Yes.
the third company so that you know. So I joined this company, which was already been around for 20 years. It's called Air Game, together with my colleague and friend Chris. It's called Air Game, and it has game rentals and event planning. So also bigger things. Right now we are creating the games played in a TV show, a reality show. I'm
Okay.
not really sure if I should mention which one it is.
Don't say
but,
which one it is, but all good. Yeah.
But
sounds
it's
good.
all good, especially at this period of the difficulties that we have. It's something that keeps us going.
I might just be blurred sometimes.
You're blurry. You're blurry.
I can't fix it. I don't know what's going on. It's also weird that
It
leaving
focuses
is the
on the
only
back.
way I can trick it.
Yes, it's because it focuses on the back, and then you enter, and it's fine.
Okay.
That's, I think, how it works. Anyway, so I'll ask you a question about if you've ever performed to children or together with adults and children.
Yes. So frequently, especially since Britain's Got Talent, I've performed with the mix of children and adults, which is partly why now when I do my tour shows, I often will do all the clean stuff first, then in the last 20 minutes, I'll warn everybody, I'm going to get a bit blue now. So if you have any young children, please take them out, right? Or so that's when I've done the mix quite a lot. And I've also done things like religious festival where children are welcome. Also countries like Malawi where people don't really have the budget for babysitters. People always bring their kids, right? So I'm used to doing a mixed crowd, but it's actually okay. There's not much of a difference. All it means is you don't go dirty and you are a bit animated, and it generally diverts the kids, and you don't change that much. But it's also not for the kids, in that a lot of kids are just bored. Some of them are amused by your voice, but there's a certain age group where they're just like, what's going on? There's just someone talking over there. Now, separately, I have done comedy for children, right? There are a few comedy clubs for kids which exist in the UK. And it's an entirely different thing when they're all kids.
It is.
Right? It's an entirely different thing. And I used to just do my clean jokes and get away with it. But the first time there was a comedian on who was actually a children's comedian, oh my Lord, it was such a difference. This was a guy, Dan Nightingale, who does adult comedy, but when he does kids comedy, he does a proper kid set. He comes on in a tutu. He's got a like basketball stuffed around his back. He does all kinds of craziness. And when I saw them screaming and jumping up and down when he was there, I was like, oh, that's what I should have been doing.
I'll answer that too from my part. They have shorter concentration span.
Yes.
And also, it's not just one category. Each age group is different. It could have a difference even of one age different. Like 3 years old, 5 years old, 7, 8 years old.
Really? Right. So do you have different things you do for the different ages?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't go around the same things. 5 years old and younger, I even kneel down. I have to be at their level sometimes, if it's not a stage.
Yes.
You know, and if I'm with them. And of course, we have to distinguish what's a stage show and what's just an event. If it's an event that you've been there to entertain in general, first of all, that's not the number one reason they invite you. They invite you to take care of the children, just to control them and have them well behaved.
So they can do that. Like I will always remember that in South Africa, in the casinos, they always have like a children's area with children's entertainment. And I always never understood why. And then I was like, oh, it's because parents want to gamble.
Exactly, and they want to be left alone.
Do their thing.
But to bring it back to what we do, it's the same thing. We will still entertain the children. We'll still have things to do. And of course, we use comedy, but not just that. Games is a big thing. They want to participate. They cannot sit still, especially boys. And we use music, we use dancing, and we use everything else that will be involved in the event. Maybe we have the birthday cake, which is the highlight of the party. They take pictures. That's when all the parents and all the adults show up. So that's the moment you have to be at your perfect looks. And we have all this planned out. So what we really do is, other than having the experience, we have two plans, the basic plan and not exactly a backup plan, but an extra plan. So whatever does not work in the first plan, we use parts from the second plan. And it never goes 100% as it's written out. So we always improvise a lot. But we also use props. We can use little, let's say, mascots like this one, which is cute. And it catches the attention of younger children. We have silly jokes like props. This one is a prop. It's the bird whistle.
Oh, nice. Yes, lovely.
So a lot of things like that. And I've come up with a few for the video as well. Like this when I'm singing. I come out here. And then back here.
I'll tell you an interesting thing. I think that there are some genres of adult entertainment which are closer to children's entertainment.
The animated ones.
the animated ones, the sort of Jim Carreys who are putting on voices and using their body a lot, and then also the people who use lots of props like Jasper, no, Carrot Top. Carrot Top. I don't know if you've seen him. Every punchline is something which he pulls out, and it's the line. This is the interesting thing. I think that children's entertainers can perform with adults watching, but not all adults can perform with children watching.
That's quite true. But if I ask you what's easier for you, adults or children, what would you answer?
I would say adults.
For
Adults are
you,
much
because you're
easier for
experienced
me.
at that,
Because
and
I'm
I'd say the
experienced.
opposite.
Really? Well,
For
I'll tell you
me,
what. If children are 12 and over, I'm fine. But the thing which I really admire is people who can keep the attention of 4-year-olds.
well, yeah. Anyway, you have to enter their world. And
I
another thing
actually,
you have to do,
I once was hired. I was
yeah.
heckled by a child, and it's very hard to deal with child heckling. I was hired to be the warm-up act for Miss Teen Beauty Queen. So this is a TV show, sort of like Britain's Got Talent or something, but it's all teenage Miss Teen Beauty Queen, as it sounds. Now, in between the cameras, they have a comedian to entertain the crowd, which is very much composed of the young little girls and young little boys. And it was so bad. I mean, I was fine at the beginning, but then I burnt all the jokes I had. And then I was trying, and I was so bad. And the little kid put up their hand, and I said, hi. I pointed them, and they said, could you tell some funny jokes, please? It was, and everybody laughed, and I was like, wow, that kid just destroyed me, and I have nothing to defend myself with.
The thing is that they are really genuine. And that's one of the similarities that we had to do as well, both for adults and kids, especially since it's live and you expose yourself directly. It's not a video, it's not edited, it's who you are. Even
Yes.
if it's an act, it's still who you are. So one similarity is that we expose ourselves and we have to be really genuine and truthful and straightforward. You can't trick them. You can't trick kids. They'll just blab it out. Also, you can't trick adults. They might think it, even if they don't say it out loud.
Yes, that's
And
very true.
one more thing I wanted to tell you about children is that you have to keep it really shorter than what you do for adults. Like if you have a story, it would really have to be very snappy and quick and get to the point.
Yes.
You can't really describe things and move too much, especially if it's not a show and they're not seated and they don't have their ticket to watch a show. If they're just all around moving to even other activities that might be available, you have to really be quick and get to the point. And that's when funny things happen. Also, the subjects that you choose. You can't have the news or what the president said.
Yes.
They won't be interested.
They won't be
You have
interested
to
at
have
all.
something just for them. And puns
Yeah.
don't work because they're difficult to catch.
Yeah.
But you can have a pun if you want that will really be a joke to go over their head and just be funny for the parents and the adults. Like, for example,
I also noticed that self-deprecation, in the few children's show I've done, often doesn't work because they go, they feel for you rather than
Yeah.
laugh for you. Now, if it's over the top, like slipping on a banana peel, maybe. But when it's like you're just talking about being bullied or something in a way that adults would laugh, they feel sorry for you.
Yeah, but what you have to do is give them the power to correct things. That's a nice secret.
Yes.
For example, I'm losing my hat and I can't take it out now. So if I have it on a stick like this and I say, well, I lost my hat, where is it? And everyone can see it. It's behind you. Where? Behind me where?
Yes.
That's really funny. Things like that.
That's very funny. Like I have a friend who does children's entertainment, and he always has a dog puppet.
Yeah, a puppet.
And it eats stuff whenever he's not looking.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Where is it?" And they're like, "It ate it. It ate it." He's like, "What?" It's very funny because he knows less than the kids, and that really
Exactly. That gives them the power.
Yeah.
And that really gets them going and participating, even if it's a seated show.
Yes. Very true.
Anyway, so let me ask you one more thing.
Yes.
Some friends wanted me to ask you, what type of comedian do you think you are, and what do you enjoy the most?
I think that I am a storytelling comedian. Now, I have a lot of the other skills in me, like observational comedy, puns, things like that. But what I will usually be doing is I'll be using them inside a bigger story, right?
Mhm.
So, like, yeah, I think mostly I'm a storytelling comedian, but because I'm like a comedy geek, I've learned all these other skills, and in telling my stories, I use some of the other things. Um, yeah, yeah, very much like pure
And you
storytelling
write your own
comedian.
material.
Yes, I write my own material. That's the joy, actually, for me, is the writing, right? The performance is kind of joyful, but the writing is really, really joyful. I'm a writer first. I could
Yeah.
quit performing and write for other comedians, but I couldn't quit writing and just have a writing stuff, because that's what I want to be doing, is getting my thoughts out into the world. But like in terms of storytellers, like someone like Billy Connolly, that's like a real quintessential amazing comedy storyteller I look up to. So yeah.
Yeah. But you do write for others as well.
Not anymore. So the way it works is usually the people who are writing for comedians are the comedians waiting for their break. So pre 2017, I was writing for other people. Now I've got an audience, so I write for myself. That is entirely how it works. The big thing that happens is I still write occasionally for a friend, but it'll be more collaborative. Is we'll meet and workshop. But that thing of being hired to write for someone is more a thing you do earlier on in your career.
Uh-huh. We have a question in the chat
Yes.
by Babis. Do your stories come from personal experience or are they fictional?
Okay, I've tried to click on it. Click on the person's question.
Yep.
Aha. So the stories are a mixture. So mostly it starts in truth. So it starts with personal experience with comedy. But once I've told the story, I will shamelessly change it to make it funnier. So it might not end up being truthful. So for example, one of my popular jokes is I have a joke where a girl says, I would die for you. I say, thanks. And then she says, would you die for me? I say, I'd take a punch. And then she punches me. This is based on reality, but in reality, it was just someone said, I love you. And I panicked. And I was just like, thanks. But to make it funnier, I will play with it. So yes, the first draft is always the truth.
You extend it.
Yes, I extend it, I
Yeah.
add things, but sometimes I go truly into insanity. Like I've changed a confrontation with a reverend where we had a debate into an exorcism. So things, I'm willing to be very elastic, but it usually starts with pure truth. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I should
So
ask you
let's see if we have any more questions in the chat. You're all
any more
welcome
questions in the chat.
to.
Also, I have some questions for you. I wanted to know, what are the similar, because you've performed for kids and you've done a bit
Yeah.
for adults. What are
Yeah.
the similarities between performing? Oh, have we already covered this between performing for kids?
We have mentioned a few
We've
parts.
mentioned a few. Okay.
Well, the similarities definitely, I would say, number one is to be genuine, be yourself. It will make you feel better anyway. And kids just cannot accept anything less than that.
Okay.
So you'll have trouble just playing an act. You have to bring it out. You have to make people feel good about themselves. So both children and adults like that.
Yes.
And it's quite safe. You control everything. So, for example, you can even share the mic sometimes if you're not afraid they'll say something inappropriate.
Yes.
There are various ways to accomplish that. But since you know that both like to be entertained, it doesn't really make a difference. The goal is the same.
Yes.
And I'd also like to add, in the case of a kids party, and since parents are happy when their kids are happy, they might easily go along with any kids activity with you, whether it's
With you.
just kids jokes or a funny game. It's still appropriate, and they will participate, and maybe they even find themselves enjoying it themselves.
I
So
recently had though, so I have to talk about this very vaguely, but I did
okay.
a corporate show. So
Uh-huh.
corporate show, you get hired by like, Coca-Cola or insurance managers or lawyers to entertain them.
Yeah.
And they booked me, another comedian, and they booked two actors who do an interactive show. But
Uh-huh.
it quickly became apparent that their show was targeted at kids,
Mhm.
right? And it was one of the most awkward 40 minutes because
You weren't
everyone there
prepared
was
for that.
an adult, and they're like wearing these multicolored clothes and asking the lawyers to play along, and it was just one of those things where you're like, this there is some stuff where it's for an entirely different age group. And I'm sure if a few of the lawyers or whoever had their kids with them, they would have played along. But because they didn't have their kids with them, they were really cynical and standoffish and were not playing along with the improvs at all.
But see, you had different facts before you started. You weren't prepared for that.
Oh, I was fine, because this was the thing, is that I was fine and the other comedian was fine because we'd
Uh-huh.
been correctly booked. I think the other people were booked. They were thinking it would be like, whose line is it anyway, kind of improv.
Oh yeah.
And they just clicked, they hadn't done enough research. They just clicked on a website, hired this company, and then children's entertainers appeared. And but it was interesting to me because it showed that a lot of adults need permission to play,
Yes.
which I don't understand. Play is so fun. As a comedian, I never lost that, but a lot of adults need permission to play.
That's a great pass to two of the questions we have here.
Mm-hmm.
One says just a statement that adults want to be kids again.
Yes.
And they only need someone to transform them into it. And we are just...
Yes, rest in peace, the very dearly departed Robin Williams. His thing was he would turn adults into kids because he was just this giant kid. And it's amazing when you watch his shows because he would get people into that headspace, which they had as children.
Exactly. So one more thing I wanted to ask you, coming from the questions of the people here, Anastasia asks us if there are, I'll post that, differences between countries and how audiences react to comedy.
So some things are universal in my experience, like, jokes about laughter, jokes about family, jokes about love. So subject matter, there's a lot that is universal, but the big two differences is what is taboo, right, is different in different
Especially
countries.
coming from Africa, where there's a big difference.
Very big difference. So in the UK, I can do dirty jokes. I can do jokes about God. That's a very big one. I would never do that in Malawi. So subjects are very different in different countries, what's acceptable. And then equally in the UK, if I do stuff about my faith, people get uncomfortable. So they're different things which people aren't really comfortable with hearing jokes about in different countries. But then the other thing is, the other big difference is different countries have louder audiences, right? If I'm performing in South Africa, I expect people to clap and yell and jump up and down. If I'm performing in Cambridge in the UK, I expect there's a difference in how demonstrative people are in their responding to entertainment now.
There's a question I just came up with myself.
Yes.
Which I always wanted to ask someone like you, a comedian, which is
Funny
great.
or awkward moment. What's funny or awkward moment?
In a show. That you remember.
Oh, okay. So in terms of awkward moment, I still remember doing a show, Aberystwyth University, and
Yeah.
at the back of the room, someone kept talking and making sound, and I was just like, I thought they were a heckler, and I started tearing them apart because that's how you respond to hecklers. And then a carer wheeled them out,
Oh.
and it was someone with mental disability, and I felt so terrible. And I was just like, and not only did I feel terrible, the whole room was awkward and looking at me like I was a terrible person. And I literally had to stop the show and say, guys, look, I didn't know. I just heard
Yeah.
the sound. Nobody warned me. I couldn't see anything. I'm so sorry. They should come back. I'm really sorry. And I had to apologize for a few minutes before they would forgive me. That was
I'll tell
rough.
you one of mine.
Yes.
So at Party Place, I used to do a lot of the entertainment myself. I enjoyed it too for many years. So I'm just mentioning that because I actually have more information as an entertainment, because I'm the one who books the party and talks to the parents who will have the birthday party for their child. So a mother with her daughter comes in for the party, and her new husband, who was a great guy and he was almost like a parent to the kid, but they warned me that the father would be coming to the party with his new wife and a little child, a new
Okay.
child.
Yeah.
Then I forgot. At the
Oh,
party, I forgot. So they come in, I start my show. The new father, the nice guy, was taking pictures. So at one part where I have a game and the birthday child plays against someone else, I said the first one who brings their father here will get, I don't know, some privilege. They will play first in the next game. So I was expecting that girl to bring the guy with the camera, who I thought was the father. And at that specific moment, the other father, the real one,
Oh no.
walked from the bar to his seat with the beer in his hand, a white T-shirt, not really anything special, and he had quite a round belly. The shirt was hanging out with the beer. So the first thing I said was, I said, bring your father, not just any guy.
Oh no. Oh no.
So the girl says, this is my father. I really lost my words. I didn't know what to say. I don't know how I covered it after that, but
Yeah.
it was really funny. They didn't say
Very
it,
funny. I
but
also think this is the thing, is when things blow up, this is where again you have to be honest in it.
yeah,
Because if you're honest in it, it either makes it more funny or people forgive you.
yeah, that's true. So anyway,
We can do
so
like
I'd like
one or two
to,
more questions before I have to go.
before you have to go,
Yes.
because I think you have something. What's your next gig?
So actually, I'm hosting a workshop, and then
Today.
today.
So you really need to get going. So last thing, would you like to say anything about what your plans are so that people would know what
Oh
to
yes,
expect?
yes. So I am doing a tour this year. It's constantly changing because of COVID. So initially it was in theaters, then it was online. Now it's back in theaters again. So all I would say is, if people, but you're a lot of people are watching from Greece. So I think the only way they
It's
can get
okay.
some Daliso, because I'm not currently going to is that I'm on Amazon. I'm very excited. My show is on Amazon. So just Google Daliso Chaponda on Amazon and you should find it. But if you are in somewhere in the UK, Google Apocalypse Not Now. And
There are people from the UK watching.
oh, there are people from the UK watching. Then please come buy tickets for Apocalypse Not Now. Now they're actually going to be live again, because it seems like post-April we'll be out of lockdown. So it's going to be socially distant shows in your cities.
That's great. And what can we find on Amazon?
On Amazon is my special, What the African Said. What the African Said. It was the result of years of jokes. That was my first big special. And yeah,
Okay, great.
if you've got Prime, it's free.
Oh, I did type it.
I just see someone saying, "Ha ha ha! I was there." Were you? They were there at your awkward moment.
Yes, that's Despina.
Yeah.
Yes, she was there.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect. And what are you up to?
I'm trying to learn the videos now to work on that as long as I need to. But anyway, it's good practice. They'll always be around.
Yes.
And hopefully, as a country, will also be opening soon, so that we'll have some parties.
Yes.
Our 2 venues are waiting for people to fill them up and to have parties again. So I'll also post this now so that people will know where to find us.
Yes.
This is our 3 websites.
3 websites. Excellent.
Yes, Triki Fun, Party Place, and Air Game.
Wonderful.
So those are my plans. My personal plans are the music. I'm studying piano again, practicing every day. And stand-up comedy, as I've told you before, is in my top hobbies, somewhere in between professional and hobby level, because I can use elements in my shows for kids as well.
Perfect.
I don't know if I'll ever do it purely for adults, maybe. Anyway, I know you have to go, so thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was very fun. Thank you.
This was fun. Hopefully, we'll meet sometime in person. And
real
why
life.
not book you in Greece as well?
Indeed. So to everybody watching, ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.